Good morning! This is my audience for my demonstration speech. Sewing a pillowcase is a beginner-friendly project that is useful for anyone who loves to thrift, anyone whose love language is gift-giving. It is the perfect and most functional, practical skill to obtain. You can also make makeup bags, you can make tote bags, anything with rounded corners. This is the perfect project to start with. To create a pillowcase, you don't need very much. You need the main thread. You also need thread that will be kind of like the back side of the project. It's most hidden, so I'm not too worried about the color, so I'm going to leave it the standard white. The main thread will be black. You also will need scissors, anything to mark your fabric with depending on the color. I have both options in case my fabric is dark and in case my fabric is light. Also, you will need a flat iron or just any iron, and last but not least, you will need measuring tape. So because my most preferred fabric store did recently retire, I will repurpose one of my old fabrics. This one was used as a picnic blanket for a gift for a friend. I didn't like the pattern. This was the previous pattern, and I did sew the material on that I bought at Joann's on top of the picnic blanket. That is a project that you can do that can follow after this one. It will give you the confidence you need to move on to bigger projects, to more complex projects with zippers, buttons, and these are just leftover materials from dresses, cosplays, just previous projects. It's best to use materials that include cotton, preferably 100% cotton. That is my preference because 100% cotton tends to have the best variety, the coolest illustrations, such as the Slytherin one I just showed you. But for this project, I will use a polyester blend material for the pillowcase. This will be the pillow in question. I don't like the color. It no longer fits the aesthetic. It doesn't serve me. So because of that, I will repurpose this material to make that pillow into something that I can appreciate now. So this is the material of my choice. There is an inside out to every material. So with this corner, I will fold it in half. Essentially, if this had illustrations, the illustrations would be on the inside and the inside of the pillowcase would be on the outside. So the inside is on the outside and is folded in half. Why is it important that the material is flipped inside out this early in the process? Is because this is how we will sew it, this is how we will measure it, and we will later turn the project inside out the way it's supposed to be. So I did pre-measure my pillow. It is 16 and a half by 11 and a half inches. So we need to add an inch or an inch and a half of inches to that so that we have space to make mistakes. That is called seam allowance. Putting the effort into understanding something that requires hands-on practice allows you to have a new level of respect for those that cosplay, those that gift give as a love language, people that thrift. You can repurpose an outfit, you can resize it by hemming it, cinching it to your height, to your size. Okay, now that we have our material cut off, we will now make sure that the corners are all connected, that is still folded in half, of course. It's still inside out. We will sew 2 out of 4 of the sides. This is one side that was folded, one side that we will keep open, and the other 2 sides, one long side, one short side, will be sewn so that we can then turn it inside out. I will just feed the material through. I will start on the folded side. Place down the foot. And I will backstitch for 2 seconds and continue sewing the project all the way down, and I will stop right before I reach the corner of the project so I can turn, which I will show you. Lift up the foot while keeping the needle completely down and being able to kind of manipulate the fabric to get sharp corners. So this is exactly where I want to begin. So with the needle down, I'm going to place the foot down, and by then I can continue my project. Now that I've sewn 2 out of 4 of the sides of my pillowcase, I'm going to back stitch since I am at the very end of my project. So I'm going to go forward 2 seconds, back 2 seconds. Now we can lift the foot, lift the needle, separate the material, cut the thread, and turn it inside out. Besides learning patience and having the confidence to move on to more difficult projects, I've also taken an interest in quilting since it's not too far behind something like this. It does use a machine. You can also create designs. You can actually make your own quilt. So it's just a natural transition. So from here, this is your project. You have sewn 2 of the sides. We have one short end that is open, one that is folded. So then you will reach in, pull for it to be inside out, and now you have an awkward rectangle. You will use anything that has a blunt end to poke out the corners. Okay, so this is what we have. Notice how this project does not show any of the white threading that I did previously mention I was using. I was using white and black, but nothing is shown because of the way we sewed it. Now, it is completely up to you, to the preference of the creator, but some can create a cleaner hem, a better finish by sewing the pillowcase in a way where if you put it on the pillow, it will not simply just fly off. So that is completely up to you. If you are interested in doing that, I will quickly show you how to do that. It uses about a ½ inch of material so that we still have material that can loosely fit on the pillow. We don't want it to be too tight. We don't want the pillow to stick out. So I will quickly demonstrate that to you. Okay, so now the material is back to being inside out. We're going to fold it over about ½ inch. You can use a measuring tape. I will just eyeball it since it's not too important to me. And instead of placing the material completely flat onto the table, I will open the pillowcase, put it in like this, have it folded over, and so it can be held in place. We're going to put the foot down. And here's where you can place any pins that you need to secure the rest of the folded area around, but I will leave it as is for now. Turning the material inside out. Okay, now that it is the way it's supposed to be, not inside out, not flip-flopped, it is illustration facing outwards. You can decide whether you want to iron the edges to make it cleaner, make it flat. You can decide whether you want to turn it back inside out to cut any excess material. Typically, if you overcompensate how much material you actually need, you will have these leftover, this like inch and a half of material that is our seam allowance, which was very necessary, but sometimes it's too much. You can turn it inside out, you can cut it so that when you put it the way it's supposed to be, it will be less bulky on the end, and then you can iron it on top of that to make it even cleaner. So in this case, I will leave it as is. How it will fit on the pillowcase, on the pillow, we will see. And I've already cut off all the threads that were just hanging off. Okay. We already poked out the corners. And this is your pillow. Your little pillowcase. Pillow fits perfectly in. No pillows hanging out.